7:15 to 8:10. So what I'm going to do is run down the new business, and if people are here for a particular item, indicate that so we can try to get that out of the way before 7:15 and people don't have to hang out for an hour, okay? All right, there's a bill schedule for the 1870 Town Hall. I don't think anybody's here for that. Some internal account transfers, home day, a couple of administrative issues with respect to that. A bill schedule for the Mabel Marble Scholarship, a number of administrative items regarding the 1870 Town Hall, and then as Selectmen Personnel Committee, Fire Inspector, Captain Pay update. Anybody here for that? Okay. Then we'll do that. I'll run through the rest. Selectmen response to water runoff complaints, 117 West Street and 64 Peach Hill Road. Earthwork Board request for reconsideration, Broad Merkel, RE 249 Randall, okay. Board of Health request for hallway mounted payment drop box.
They were in a meeting, but I can give you some information if you need it.
Yeah, I mean, I from what I could see.
Sue told me it was just same as Richard Sardell has for tax collection, just
Yeah,
putting
yeah,
a
yeah.
box out there.
Yeah, I don't think we probably, we have a lot of information on that. I think we have enough to make a judgment on that, so nobody has to hang around till 8:15 or so. Community calendar participation, and access to the energy, access by Energy Committee to some mass websites, and then a proclamation honoring our retiring building inspector. So, what I heard were two items that people are here for specifically, and let's take them in the order that I read them. So let's have an update as Selectmen and Personnel Committee on the Fire Inspector Captain Pay update.
Thank you.
Yep.
In the essence of time, I put together a folder for you. Let's get some additional information on it with regards to, actually there's two portions in there, two packages. One's got to do with the call wages, and I hadn't heard back whether they were all set or not. It's the call wages update that they did, and because this is the first year that you incorporated the call firefighters into the personnel plan.
Yep.
So that package is in the back there.
Okay.
The other one is with regard to the Captain Fire Inspector's position. And we've been working on for a year, and again, it's been a year in the process, and basically it's just a change in hours. As we stated, the position's already at 24 hours a week. So looking back at past practice of the town with regards to positions such as the building inspector, the accountant and such, people that were already in the position, it was just an approval of the increase in hours for that position. So that's what we've done. Going forward, any new hires, as we talked about, the SAFER grant, if something happens with that and we're able to hire new full-time positions, then those would go through a set hiring process, which would include an assessment center and things like that for those positions. Again, you'll see that there's a job description. I apologize for not getting you an updated job description long ago, but it's quite similar to the regular captain's job description, only adding the fire prevention aspects into it and what the requirements are for that position. You'll also see some information with regards to how the benefit changes, because it's already a benefited position. It's just going from basically half-time to full-time.
Okay.
And I think that's about it,
Okay.
unless you have any questions.
No, I don't have any questions. I will make a couple comments because you and I obviously have been talking about this. As people will remember, when we reorganized, I became the liaison for the fire department. And as is fairly generally known, there are some concerns about the the current person in that position, and particularly with respect to the non-inspection activities. I had made a proposal to the chief that we take some time over the summer and put that out as a process, and really open it up and maybe get even a consultant in here in terms of how to slice the various duties, inspector, captain, etc., and also to open up the position to a process. After having that, I understand that the chief is certainly aware, and I would compliment on him on his responsiveness and attentiveness to this over the last week, as we've spoken several times. The chief has put together an alternate proposal to try to address those things. This is being submitted tonight. We have a note here that is confidential for his personnel, for the personnel file of the individual. We have not had a chance to review this as a board. The document that he's given us is confidential, but I would emphasize that all of our considerations and our decisions and so on will be excerpted and will be made completely transparent as we make them. My inclination on this, especially since this is an issue that does require some time and some consideration, and the board has not had an opportunity to look at the chief's alternative, is to consider this next week. We may well schedule it, and you can watch the agenda. We may well schedule an executive session because it's a personnel matter. The executive session would also require us to offer the person who's the subject of it to attend if they wish. So those are the developments. I will say that I have had good, solid, substantive discussions with the chief. We've met together, spoken on the phone once, and met together twice, each time for about an hour or so between last week and this. And I think we're focused on the issue, and there will be further developments on that. I would also note that in terms of the selectmen's role in this, that under the strong chief bylaw, the selectmen, the chief establishes compensation for call members and full-time members and officers, but that compensation is subject to the approval of the Board of Selectmen, and the chief understands that we need to have issues addressed before we would approve that compensation. Under the strong chief bylaw, we can't get in and micromanage, nor frankly do I want to, because I don't really have the expertise for it. And because I have great confidence in the chief, we can't go in and micromanage and so on, but we do have the power of the purse with respect to that, and I think that's gotten everybody's attention, and so we will proceed with that. So thank you for anybody who came down with respect to that. I did want to get that out of the way so people didn't hang out for a long time.
Do you mind if I ask a couple of questions?
You can, yes.
24 hours half-time, chief?
Yes,
Is 48 hours would be
50.
full-time?
It's
Okay.
based on 50.
And have you considered, regardless of what develops or doesn't develop down the road, making him an EMT? Making him an EMT?
I have discussed it.
Is that on your radar?
No,
Okay. And what happened with your idea, which seems like a good one, of creating a study and deciding based on the study?
As I say, I gave that to the chief. The chief considered it. The chief had said he was going to put together, an alternate suggestion, and we'll be considering that.
And last but not least, are all the documents confidential or just some of them?
No, the job description is not confidential. The salary table for Cole and so on is not confidential. There's only a letter and some attachments regarding, personnel matters and issues of which, some of you sitting here, have raised yourself to me. That is the only thing that is a
Can the
confidential
releasable
document.
documents be made available?
Hmm?
Can the non-confidential documents be made available?
Yeah, I don't see any reason why we can't, fundamentally, that's just the job description. There is a schedule of compensation, which, hang on. We'll probably end up signing next week or later, or later tonight. I want to be sure, obviously, that we're not signing the 80,000 when we sign that, and it's not on, and it's not on the list. But those two things are obviously, yes, they will be available.
So is the board, last question, is the board discussing with the chief? Are you both discussing this EMP disagreement?
That was certainly one of the things that we talked about, and we talked generally about, training, level of expertise, various, training and steps that the particular individual is taking. So we had a pretty broad-ranging discussion, yes.
So is that under consideration between the two of you, or is that over? Is the board
No,
considering-
there's been no decision made, and yes, the board has not, as I say, the board put out something that was a process. That, at that level, we were not talking about specifics. We do have a job description here that we've gotten in the last week and that we'll respond to. And then, as I say, the chief has suggested an alternative, so we have to take that on board.
So the alternative is confidential?
No, the alternative will not be confidential. I haven't had a chance to review it or read it yet. It is in a document that is for his personnel file and contains obviously particular assessments of the individual, because that's what we're talking about here. But I would emphasize very strongly that we will, as we consider it and make decisions, we will extract the substantive stuff of what we're doing out of that, so that we're going to be telling people what we're considering next week and how we're considering it.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Let me take the broad members very quickly. All right. You want to come up, or you want to speak from there, or?
Speak from here.
Okay.
Oh. We're the Hansons.
Oh, sorry, you're the Hansons. My apologies. Okay, and I should say, I forgot to say this at the beginning, open session public meetings are subject to being videotaped. Your image and voice may be recorded. Sorry, Peter, you didn't get the warning, but and Chief, you didn't get the warning. But anyway, my apologies. Okay, you want to let us? Is there an indication in the appointment? Sorry, I haven't had it. It's been a busy week.
It actually started with Mr. Broadmerkle seeking to introduce more evidence after his 2016 Earthworks hearing. He's requesting the board's time, and I said, why don't you submit the paperwork you want the board to reconsider? And then the board can decide if they want to have an informal meeting with you or a hearing, because last time it was a hearing. So that's on the agenda for tonight, is number 8. And the Hansons are here in case you have any questions that they can help with as you make that decision.
Okay. All right.
I think it's
Yeah,
after that.
help me find this here so I can get some
Go
sense.
past that.
Past Austin Design?
past that.
All right. All right.
After that.
After that, okay.
Right, that's it.
And do we have any further information at this
Well,
point?
Mr. Broadmerkle sent a couple of attachments, which he says are invoices that he claims evidences that the Hansons brought in more soil after the town enacted the light kind soil, or the earth imputation limit of 100 cubic yards. So he's saying he now has evidence that the board told him, come back if you have evidence, otherwise it's a private matter. The Hansons might want to dispute, though,
Yes.
Okay,
some of that documentation.
okay. And Mr. Broadmerkle is not here, correct?
No.
Okay.
He knew we were talking about this tonight?
Yes, I've been copying him constantly. I only added the Hansons at the last moment just because they were being discussed. It's rehashing the matter. I told him this wasn't gonna be a hearing,
No?
but
And do they have copies of what he submitted?
yes, I sent it to him electronically.
Just very quickly, because we really have to do this on another
Mhm.
night. What is your position on these documents?
His first attachment, the 80 cubic yards, that's the one that we had submitted before.
Mhm.
The second document he has with the 20 cubic yards, we didn't have that, because when you look at that, it says 249 Randall Road, Bolton. So I think that was just a mix-up, that when we asked for the invoices, she didn't pull that one for us. But Paul obtained that by going to this company and stating that he was Roy. And we knew that and kind of were
Okay.
frustrated by that, but so anyway, so we're still at
All right, thank you.
100.
That's helpful. And that's it? That's just the two documents?
He has something from the fence viewers report, and in that it says he feels as though we're moving stones in the wall to facilitate drainage, and we're not. We didn't do that. One thing when I was talking about it to Roy, I said, one thing maybe that we can help is I'm starting to look into buying a rain barrel to capture some of the water that he says we're diverting. And so if that helps the matter, to
Okay.
put in like an 80-gallon rain barrel, and I'll just use it to water the gardens.
Okay. Well,
But
is there a 249 Randall? Is there a Randall Road in Bolton?
Oh, I didn't even look. Oh, didn't even look.
All right. Yeah. And you don't have to answer this. Did you get a second delivery? Okay.
Well, the 249 Randall.
Yes.
I think, at the time, I don't think I realized that there was some dirt on the other side, that was done kind of all
Yeah.
around the same time.
I'll tell you, looking at this, my inclination is, and we'll chat about this later, my inclination is, the bylaw requires for the importation of greater than 100 cubic yards. And I see, even if I do that, I see just 100 cubic yards. But we're gonna have to discuss this at another meeting. I would suggest that, if you can clarify, I mean, it would seem to me you would know if you got 40 yards and 40 yards and 20 yards.
Right.
Did you?
Yes, so we're still at 100.
Yeah, so in fact, this receipt that says 249 Randall Road, Bolton, was delivered to you.
There is a Bolton.
Hmm?
There is a Bolton, a 249.
There is a 249
Oh,
Randall?
then, you know what, I didn't even look into it.
Yeah,
I'm Paul Broadmerkle.
yes, I understand.
I'd like an opportunity to respond to that comment. Yes, there is a Randall Road in Bolton, but there isn't a 249 Randall Road.
Yes, there is.
It's a dead-end street.
Okay.
The last house
Yeah.
in
No,
Randall
I don't
Road-
think we have to go into that, because you did say a moment ago that you did get two 40 cubic yards and 120. You said that.
Yes.
You got that. So, I mean, there's no sense in, we don't have to debate that. It's, okay? But that's still 100. It's not more than 100. That's my initial inclination. We will schedule this for next week. We have, unfortunately, this week we have a very heavy schedule. We have 3 interviews with prospective building inspectors. And I took this just to say what we were going to do
I see.
with it this week, so people didn't have to wait around until 8:15 or 8:30 when we finish the interview. So we will agenda this, and people will have a chance to speak about it further, but that's just the initial reaction.
So
Okay?
Not a hearing.
No, it's not a hearing.
Yeah.
It's not a hearing. They're not proposing any in particular. We're really looking at a set of facts and whether it applied. So it's not a hearing.
Can I assign them a time, 7:45?
You can.
Okay, and I'll let you all have an email, just saying it's
Okay.
7:45 next
Okay.
week.
All right.
Thanks for your time.
Yeah, that was, and again, the point was to speak just enough about it so you knew what we were going to do and not have to hang around. Okay?
Thanks.
All righty. Now we are running a little bit late, but we will begin our interviews with prospective candidates for the position of building inspector. And the first one is Richard Hanks. Do we all have copies of the
I will.
resumes,
I
or?
will get them.
I printed them and then I left them at home.
Huh?
I printed them and then I left
Oh,
them at home.
okay. Mr., is that you?
That is me.
All right, then
You
please
all set?
come up. Yes, yes. And my apologies that we're running a bit.
Nice to see you
Nice to
again.
see you.
Nice to see you, yes.
Good evening. Particular chair? This one?
Yes, that would be a good one.
Do you need a spare resume? I have one
Mary
spare.
was gonna grab some, but.
All right,
And I did look at it, I just didn't bring it.
let's see if we have, if she has any in here. I was just looking to see if she has a copy here.
I may not have made them for everybody. I'm gonna do that right
Is there one even in the appointments?
Most of my questions would be not
All right.
necessarily on the resume because I don't know much about the job.
Okay. All right, well, why don't we start by, why don't you tell us just a little bit about your experience and so on, and
Okay, I've
your
been.
interest in the position in Berlin.
Absolutely, thank you. I'd like to thank you all for the invite and confidence you've given to invite me here. So I've been in the building trades practically all my life. I was a building contractor for 10 years. I got hurt on the job and decided that it was time to look for a different career path. I actually started going to college, taking classes. I was going to have a concentrate on becoming an engineer, going to taking night classes with a family, children, plus work. It got quite daunting, and so then I had to regroup, figure out what else I could do. That's when I decided to become a building official, put all my college books aside, and started buying code books and just started reading from cover to cover and studying to take the test. So it was a major career choice for me to change, and fortunately, once I got my certification, I was able to get employed with the town of Townsend, which I've been there for just shy of 20 years. August will be 20 years.
Are you still there now?
I am there
Yep,
now.
mhm.
Yep.
And you're also with Templeton?
I do Templeton as a part-time.
And would it be your intention to keep one or both of those after you come to us?
I will not keep Townsend, no.
Okay.
Templeton is a very small town with not much happening at all.
And so it would be your intention to continue that on a part-time basis?
Yeah, unless for some reason they got busy, if I didn't think I could handle it, then I would give it up.
Okay,
But they've been quite slow for the 2 years I've been there.
okay. You want to talk a little bit about your experience with commercial? And I'm going to ask a couple questions, then, everybody feel free to jump in. Experience with commercial?
Yeah, I've done a fair amount of commercial through my tenure in Townsend. Right now, we're just finishing the new North Middlesex Regional High School. That's a 188,000 square foot high school project. I helped Ashburnham with the J.R. Briggs Elementary School, so I was a special inspector for them, did plan review, inspections. Townsend's done numerous other projects, senior center, library, 2 fire stations, Sterilite Corporation's headquarters out of Townsend. They've done several office renovations and projects. Planet Fitness, several restaurants. So I have some fair amount of commercial experience.
Excellent, excellent. Any Somebody else want to ask one? Go.
Well, we've got a town barn that's being built at the moment, and an elevator being installed at the old town hall. And
Yep.
I'm plenty of things up at Highland Commons going on, so I'm sure you'd be busy. Sounds like you've got, and you remember Richard when he interviewed?
I do.
Yeah. I mean, we've talked a lot about your organizational skills and being able to handle, at the time you were doing
Four.
many communities.
4.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this may be, having one job thing might get old for you.
Well, not necessarily. But in regards to that, another thing is, when I started in Townsend, we did a complete gut renovation of our town hall, when you reference your old town hall, and they actually pulled me off from being the building inspector on it and put me in charge as the owner's project manager, so I oversaw that whole aspect of that. And we do have a new highway garage that was built a few years back as well.
Yep, and we are, in particularly with respect to the town hall, we are operating on a tight budget. We have a clerk of the works, but that clerk of the works, comes in once every couple of
Right.
weeks and so on. And particularly during the later stages when we're, like finish work and stuff like that, once the main, foundations and so on are done, we will probably be looking to the building inspector to
Yeah, let's step
help
up and-
oversee that because of the tightness of the budget with respect to
Sure.
to the clerk of the works. And we're trying to focus that on the earlier structural stages and the engineering for the elevator, and then hopefully be able to do a good portion of the rest of it with local resources.
Right.
Yeah.
And again, back to your comment of, how, they juggle an awful lot of things, but what enables me to do that is the technology that's out there with emails, cell phones. I check my emails, my work emails on the weekend, so if a resident has a question, you might be building a deck or putting a pool, and, if I access my emails remotely, I might be able to answer their question on a Friday night or a Saturday or Sunday, and that seems to help a lot. Same with, I give out my cell phone number so that, again, same thing, if somebody needs to get a hold of me, I'm accessible. And that seems to make a world of difference as far as, why wait till a few days later only to respond to a call. I find I look at it as being really into public service, really try to help make sure that people are getting what the end result of what they're trying to do.
Terrific. Yeah.
What's the name, Mary, what's the name of the software that we use?
GOTMS,
Are you familiar with GeoTM?
I am not.
Okay.
which is owned down by Acela, which is a bigger name
Mm-hmm.
in the game.
Which is an online permitting?
Yes. Have you had experience with online permitting?
No.
I presume you're willing to give it a go?
Absolutely.
All right.
Now, you actually spent some time working in town. Did you see anything that you'd like to improve on or change while you were here?
I think Larry's done an excellent job here. I think Larry and I have a lot of the same demeanor to us. I've known Larry for an awful long time. Larry has everything very well organized. Maybe a few things, look at your fee schedules, they might be a little on the low side from what I noticed when I was here. Again, my time was limited. I was really trying to concentrate on just keeping the town afloat, make sure everything got covered. That'd be something I have to analyze once I got into position to find out, is everything flowing the way it should? Is everything being done in a timely manner?
Yeah, it was no reflection on Larry, it's just,
Yeah, right. Right.
anytime I go into some place, I see things and
Well, you probably also noticed that I've been interim at a lot of different towns, and multiple reasons. One is I'm helping out the other towns and the other building officials, but it also gives me opportunity to find out how other towns are doing the same thing that we all do. They might be doing something slightly different. Can I pick up on something that they're doing that I could implement in the town I'm working in? So that's one of the reasons why I've done so many interim positions, is that, again, to help out first and foremost, but then also, they're doing something a little different. Do I like that? You try to take away from what you've learned in different places.
Can you tell me about a time when you've had to deal with a challenging individual in the course of your job and what you learned from that experience?
I've dealt with a lot of challenging individuals over the time.
I suspected you might have.
You have to be calm, you have to listen to them, you have to try and calm them down and explain things out. You might have to show them the reasons why the code says what it does or what his zoning bylaw says what it does. But the first thing is you really have to listen to them and let them get their frustration out, and you really have to stay calm, because two people yelling and screaming at each other doesn't get any place. So that's how I handle cases like that, is to, again, let them get their point across and then explain out the reasons why it has to be a certain way.
What's your philosophy about working with the different boards, like working with the zoning board?
It's got to be hand in hand. When I first started in Townsend, the land use boards were not getting along with the building department, and vice versa. The planning board was suing the zoning board was suing the planning board, so it was chaos. So my main mission back then, when I first started, was to get everybody into unity, where it's a team effort. Everybody has to work together. It's for the best interest of the community.
You will be, a zoning enforcement
Absolutely,
officer
yep.
here as well. And we have quite an elaborate zoning bylaws,
You do.
with a number of overlays and so on. One of the slight bones I might have to pick with the current building inspector, sometimes that he rushes in where angels would fear to tread, and doesn't sort of step back, particularly in, not talking about the building inspector and enforcing those codes, but we strongly believe that we should support this position in this role as zoning inspector. You should have access to counsel. You should feel that you have the ability to talk to your liaison at Selectmen, et cetera.
Yep.
Are you comfortable in the zoning? And maybe speak a little bit about your experience as a zoning enforcement officer you've had in towns, and some of the challenges that you see, some of the support you think you'd like to see here.
I've always gotten good support from our Board of Selectmen as far as zoning, because obviously the bylaws were enacted by the residents, the voters enacted the bylaws, so they're there to support, they're there to enforce. I've always worked hand in hand with town council on issues that, if there's any ambiguity, do I need clarity, do I, ask for direction on what's, every action is equal and opposite reaction, so you gotta be careful as to, you gotta make sure you enforce it equally, fairly.
Yep. And, and obviously that what it is,
Right.
before you wave in, and you're right, if there's ambiguity or you have any question or somebody's coming up with an interpretation you hadn't thought of before when you read the words.
And that happens, and I've also
Yeah.
had to research a bylaws to go back to its inception, what was going on at the time, what prompted that bylaw, why is it there? Sometimes you can get the minutes from the town meeting as to when it was adopted, what the article actually said, and research out.
That's a very thoughtful approach, and I think, as you know, when you get into zoning enforcement, you can get into litigation or costly disputes short of litigation.
Right.
So I appreciate a careful and thoughtful approach to that role. Yeah.
Right.
And can you tell me a little bit about why you'd like to come to Berlin? And you've been in Townsend for a long time.
Very, very long time.
Yeah.
Townsend's been very good to me. I've enjoyed Townsend, but I think I'm ready for a change of scenery. It's the same thing over and over. You do have a larger commercial base. I am more interested in the commercial aspects because the commercial technology is changing very fast, and it's exciting. It's interesting to watch. It's exciting to watch. It's exciting to be part of. So that's what intrigued me. But you're still a small town. You're not the real big city or town where it's a major juggle to keep up with it. So I think it could be a fun endeavor, rewarding endeavor.
And I have asked this of police chief, et cetera, when we've done it. I mean, there's no such thing as indentured servitude, obviously, but I think when we look at a position, we're looking for somebody, who, looking out 3, 4, 5 years, is interested in at least that kind of a span, because, a change of personnel and so on we have very little sort of central management, and that, that takes time, and it takes time for the, engine to, start running again. So is that, is that consistent with your?
I still have plenty of years left,
Okay.
if that's what you're getting at.
Yeah, okay, that's fine. No, I do, as I say, that we can't hold you to that, obviously, because
Yeah.
there's no such thing as indentured servitude, but.
No, I wouldn't want to, come to a place just for a short period of time. I'm
Yeah.
looking at, just one place, that's it.
Yeah.
Then take care of that town for whatever I got left,
Great.
roughly 10 years.
Excellent.
And you must have enjoyed Berlin.
I did. I thought it was very exciting, and again, a nice change of scenery. Got to see some exciting projects going on at the Highlands. And there was a lot of new plans coming through as I was leaving. So yeah, I like Berlin. It's very personable. People seem to be a little bit down to earth, and there was nobody that was too uptight that I found.
No, occasionally they get that way, but generally they're not. Any other questions from the board?
No, I don't think so.
Any questions from the studio audience? Nope, nope. All right. I
Okay.
thank you very much. Thanks
Well,
for coming.
again,
Thanks also for being flexible in rescheduling. Sorry we had that
Absolutely, no
snafu.
problem.
And
Thank you again.
all right.
Good to see you.
Thank you.
On the other side of this.
Take care.
Thanks for coming.
Good night.
Okay. And do we have the ones for Henry Fontaine and the others? Thanks, Mary.
Thanks.
Okay, great. Excellent. Thank you. All right. Do you feel any need to take a couple of minutes now between interviews, or you want to wait till the end?
I'm happy with going to the end.
Okay, you do. All right. Then I'll call in Mr. Fontaine. I'll do it. I'll do it. Mr. Fontaine? Come in. Come on up.
How are you doing?
Good, thank you.
Henry Fontaine, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Hi, Mr. Wysocki.
Nice to meet you, Henry Fontaine.
Let's have a seat. Thanks for coming, and again, thanks for being flexible. We had that little scheduling and notice snafu, so I really do appreciate
Not a problem.
your flexibility in coming in. You want to talk a little bit about why you're interested in making a move, coming to Berlin?
I'm working in two communities now. One is a community of a little over 30,000 residents, and one community is like 3,000 residents. So I'd like to make a change to something that's a little smaller and a little closer to home, and eliminate two communities and work for one.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Let's see, you've been in Sherburne only since 2015,
Right,
correct?
right.
That isn't very long.
No, no.
You talk a little bit about why, I mean, is it just really that you want to get closer to home and?
No, Sherburne is a part-time situation. there.
Okay.
We work in Needham full-time, and Sherburne is an evening job.
Oh, gotcha,
Yeah,
okay.
so it's a 22-hour-a-week job.
Okay,
So, so I do both communities at the same time. So that's the thinking is to get a little closer to home and eliminate down to one.
okay. Okay. You want to talk a little bit about your experience with commercial
Sure.
development? Yeah.
Yeah, no, we see a lot of commercial development. We work with the plans and with the architects' control documents, and we're in constant communication with the engineers to to be sure that everything that's on the plan and what they're doing is checked in different phases of the project, and they provide us with reports and things like that.
Can you tell me a little bit about, some of the sort of notable commercial projects you might have been involved in? Any, sort of big shopping, municipal buildings, anything like that?
We have the in Needham. We just finished doing the Needham Town Hall. We just refurbished that whole building in Needham. Currently in Sherburne, they have the new library going in that town. Let's see.
Commercial, like shopping centers?
Shopping centers. They're more
Office park, anything
yeah,
along
more.
those lines, yeah.
We're doing a large scale project in the New England business area there in Needham. It's a Shark Ninja is involved with it. NBC is coming in there, and Toll Brothers has just moved in to do a big 390 unit 40B project in there too. So we have that little small square area of miles that is really compact with a lot of work right now. We're doing we're inspections there every single day, so
Yeah.
so a lot going on with that.
Chris?
Well, I'm thinking what we have going on is the town barn.
Okay.
We've got an elevator project in our old town hall.
Okay.
And have you had any experience with that type of thing?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Elevators. We do a lot. We see a lot of elevators. So So you have a Hilton or a hotel going up in town too?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. So.
As well as the, obviously continual development, restaurants and stores up on Highland
Right. Right.
Common as well. We may also have, and hope we have, an apartment, development down in South Berlin around the Rotary there. So those are the things that are most, I think, most notably on the.
40B project.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. How many units is that?
84, I
Oh,
believe.
good size then.
I put,
Okay.
don't hold
84
me.
affordable, 205 total.
Huh?
84 affordable, but 205 total.
Yes,
205
right,
units.
yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a LIP. It's actually a local initiative petition.
Okay.
Well, let me think a minute. Go ahead,
Okay.
Lisa.
What do you feel that you specifically could bring to the job if you're hired?
I work, like I said, within the two communities, so there's one's dramatically bigger and one's dramatically smaller, so I've been able to gather a lot of valuable experience through the two differences. I like working with people. I'm not into confrontations. To me, confrontations we get nothing accomplished. So I try to work with homeowners and contractors. We'll meet as many times as they would like, and do everything we can to try to make their project work well for them.
What is your philosophy of working with different boards in town?
Oh, I think we need to do that. I would, they would probably not be happy to see me walking down because I'm going to come down and bother them as much as I can. Yeah.
Tell me about a time when you had to deal with a challenging individual and in the course of your job and what you learned from that.
Okay. You're in the job that we do, we're going to certainly run into problems probably almost every day, people working without permits and things of that nature. And so we run into small things like that. I think my most confrontational situation that I had is we had a contractor that did not want the plumber to work for him anymore. So he called me on a Friday night and said to me, I am releasing the plumber. And I said, okay, that's fine, but I'll need a letter from the plumber releasing him from the project. And he insisted that that was not going to be the case, and he asked me why. And I said, well, by having a letter and having him being released, we can go to the site, we can inspect what he has completed. If there is any problems, the new plumber that's coming on knows what he's dealing with, we know what we're dealing with, we close that permit out. He did not want anything to do with that. He wanted me to deny him his request so that he could appeal that situation to the state. And I'm still trying to figure out today why he actually wanted me to
Deny
do
the
that.
request for the plumber to withdraw.
Right.
Uh-huh.
And I'm still trying to figure it out, but what I did is I chose to go the other way. I called the plumber that was involved with the project, and I asked him to give me a letter stating that, could you release yourself from the project so that we don't have to go to the next level, because it's 60 days of why you go and sit down in front of the board and say, I don't know why we're here. So I think that was my most confrontation that I've ever actually run into, and like I said, I try to work with people. I'd rather, once you get confrontation, you get nothing done. So,
Is there anything you'd do differently in that situation if you're faced with it again?
I don't think I would have done anything differently. I think I would have still approached the builder and said, look, it's something that's protecting both parties. We're protecting everybody here. So I don't think I wouldn't have done anything different with that.
How are your organizational skills?
I try to be as efficient as I can. I'll call and bother people. Like I said, I'll call and bother people even if they're not even ready, and they'll say to me, Henry, we're working on it, or I'll ask for information on different things. So, yeah, I try to be ahead of the ball. If we're behind, then it just doesn't work out. That's all.
You get along with the boards that you work with now and
Yeah.
meet them?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
Yeah. They see me walk in the door and they all look around the corner when I come in, but at least I hit them with good questions. So when I leave, they're saying, "Oh, yeah, that's a good question. I'm glad you asked us that question." So I try to work with them, and they're good. I mean, if you're not working with the boards, you're not going to get anything accomplished. So I'd rather know how they feel, what they've approved, and it just makes it easier for everybody. So I would bounce things off of them as much as I could.
What's your comfort with electronic transmissions, dealing with people via email? We have an electronic permitting GeoTrans. GeoTMS.
Yep.
Are you familiar with that kind of?
I am. Yep, I am with that. I noticed that is it just for plumbing and electrical, or is it for building too? It is for building too. Okay, all right. So I did notice that. No, that's not a problem. We communicate through email, and I do a lot of that. So no, I don't have a problem with that. And again, I leave that as an open communication with homeowners or owners, especially homeowners. I mean, they might have a lot more questions to ask than the contractors will. The contractors will come in and meet with you and pretty much know what they're going to ask, and the homeowners, once they get into it, realize that these are the questions they should have asked.
Mhm.
So I kind of leave that open for them.
Great. Anyway, I have like one last question, which is you will be the zoning enforcement officer here. Can you tell me any experience you've had in being a zoning enforcement officer in your previous positions?
I've been fortunate that it's been minor in nature. Again, we had a couple that were probably.
But you have acted in that role as a
Oh,
zoning
yeah.
enforcement officer.
Oh,
That was my first question.
Yeah, definitely.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah, definitely.
And go ahead then. Sorry. Yeah.
No problem. Again, it was just more of an owner-contractor situation with property setbacks and contractor driveway on their property. And so, it's, again, meeting with the parties and trying to figure it out, and we were able to resolve it that way there. So,
We have I know I said it was my last question, this is just
No,
a
that's
follow-up,
okay.
okay?
Not a problem.
We obviously, if you've taken, I don't know if you have taken a look at our zoning bylaw, but it's,
I have.
it's fairly elaborate.
Mhm.
There are a lot of complexities to it because we have a whole series of, we have underlying districts and overlay districts, and et cetera. Can you talk a little bit about, working with town council, with other boards when you get into something like that? Because, as I say, I have the only slight bone I have to pick with Larry, who I admire very much, is that sometimes, he waded into these things without, without sort of stepping back and taking advice and so on at the beginning.
Yeah, if I have to make a decision that's going to take a little bit of time to think through, I will not do that without asking the question, whether it's town council, whether it's the selectmen, select people, I should say. I will ask the question first. I'm not going to jeopardize first the town at all or jeopardize my position without asking the question. So.
Well, that's good, because I think I can say, are unstinting in our support when somebody, has a question and needs that kind of backup. But we have to rely on you as being in the front line to recognize when you have an issue and to stand back and ask that question, because otherwise we don't even know it's there. So that's important, that kind of issue spotting, and then
No, the zoning, I did look at the book and I see that, like you say, it is a little bit complex, so it's just a matter of sitting down and reading it and meeting with some of the members of the board and just asking them the process, the thinking of, with some of the things that they have going on. So it's like every town, you just got to get used to it and just try to understand it, that's all.
Mm-hmm. Any other questions from members of the board?
Did we touch on technology?
I did mention GOTMS and
Emails.
email.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
All
Okay.
right.
you good?
Indeed.
Thank you so much, I
Oh,
appreciate.
thank you, and again, thanks again for
I appreciate
being
it.
flexible.
Thank
Yep.
you so much.
Thank you.
Yep, thank you.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
Did I pronounce that correctly?
It's H.
Ichu?
H, yes.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Hi,
Hi,
how are you?
good, how are
Nice-
you?
Good, thank you.
Nice to see
meet
you.
Hi, we met
Hi.
earlier.
Yes, nice to see you again.
Again, I'm Tom Andrew. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks for coming,
Thanks for having me.
and thanks for being flexible and accommodating our little scheduling snafu. So
No problem.
very nice to have you here. You want to talk a little bit about why you'd like to come to Berlin's, or what you think you'd have to offer us here?
Sure. Really making the choice to want to move to Berlin is because I want to work for a smaller community. I started my career in the city of Worcester, which is obviously a very large community.
Mm-hmm.
And then I worked, while I was there, I worked part-time in Northborough. And through the portion of me working there in Northborough, I actually was able to take over as a commissioner there. I think my resume speaks for itself as far as my education and experience.
Mm-hmm. I do note that you went to Northborough in 2015,
Yes,
so not very long ago.
yes.
And so, I mean, I guess my question is how, you'd only been there 2 years. Why are you interested in moving so soon?
It comes back to wanting to work in a smaller community. I grew up in a small community, and I like the feel of a small community.
Mm-hmm.
You know all the big names and families in town. You know who owns the corner store, and I like that atmosphere.
Mm-hmm.
So
Okay. We, you are also, here you would be the zoning enforcement officer. Can you talk to me a little bit about any experience you've had in terms of that role?
Sure, yeah, so I do zoning on a daily basis in Northborough. Zoning is a key component to any community, whether you're doing economic development, or if somebody has a project that they want to bring in, or say they have an existing building or business or something and they want to expand upon that. Is it doable? Is it something that's been changed in the zoning bylaws? Do they have to go before the board, get any type of variances or special permits? So it's a very key component to any community, and especially if the community is looking to do any type of growth, looking at your zoning bylaws can really help determine which district and whereabouts in town you want your growth to come in.
And, you know, what are some of the challenges you found in, you know, in the zoning enforcement side as opposed to the building inspection side?
So zoning enforcement, there's a whole nature of things that come with zoning enforcement. The biggest problem that we're dealing with right now in town is signs, illegal signs. You know, they're all over the place. They can really block up a lot of the scenery and make a nuisance.
And we got the First Amendment, you know?
Yeah, right, yeah.
Have you heard that?
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, so I completely understand that. But, you know, in our zoning bylaws, it says you can have a sign, it's permitted, but you have to pull a permit for it, and temporary signs and things of that nature, they're allowed to be there for a certain period of time. If they're there for an extended period of time, then you need to contact the sign owner, ask them to remove it, and if not, then you seek the appropriate way of getting the sign removed.
I've said this in the other interviews as well, that, you know, if I had even the slightest, you know, bone to pick with our current, you know, building inspector, is that sometimes he waded in, you know, on zoning enforcement issues where angels feared to tread without, you know, necessarily, you know, talking to as many people as he needed to. I think just instinctively to, you know, responding to a situation. Can you know, have your thoughts on, we obviously have a fairly complicated, for a small town, a fairly complicated zoning bylaw. So some of your thoughts about working with, you know, planning board, ZBA, town council, and, you know, how do you you know, keep yourself mindful, you know, to sort of step back when you're getting into something?
No, I understand. Actually, that's how I approach every situation. I make sure that I have all the information and everybody else has all the information before decisions are made. I never am one to, and I've never been one to just send out an enforcement letter without consulting other departments or town council or whatever. If there's something that I know definitely should be heard about from other committees, or you know, the biggest thing with me is communication and documentation. So you document everything, you communicate with everybody, everybody understands, it's an open book, and then decisions are made from there.
Great. Thank you. Lisa, you want to?
What do you think you specifically would bring to the job of building inspector in Berlin?
So I have various amount of experience in the building industry. When I was in the city of Worcester, we did code enforcement, and we were in court weekly. Every Wednesday was court, and it was on everything, all sorts of complaints, whether it be zoning, building issues, whatnot. So I have a lot of experience as far as how things operate on a court side and how to get enforcement through the legal system if need be. I've done a lot of work in commercial construction. I've done a lot of inspecting in commercial construction. In the city of Worcester, a lot of the colleges and things like that always expanded around this time of the year. And I did a lot of their inspections, their dormitories, their apartment housing, things like that. In the town of Northborough, a little different, but we have the malls that went in up there, Northborough Crossing 1 and 2. So we have that. We had some 40B projects come in. We have quite a bit of residential work. Town is 50-50 septic and sewer. When I was in the city, it was all sewer. Here, I learned it's 50-50, so making sure that they go before the proper boards and committees there. whether it be going in front of Concom or if they have to go for the Board of Health for their septic and things like that.
Tell me about a time when you had to deal with a challenging individual in the course of your job and what you learned from that experience.
Sure. So most people that I've noticed that come in, they have a complaint. You need to diffuse the situation first. Find out what's the crux of the situation. Why are they really upset? And then you have to see, at your standpoint, of what can I do to help the situation. And because sometimes people come to you, and most often when they're coming to the building department, it's the first time that they're dealing with the town, and that needs to be a positive experience. So when you come in, you tell me, a neighbor put his fence on my property, and I know it's my property, and then we have to figure out, well, is it really your property or their property? Okay, it is on your property, so let's see, how can we rectify the situation? Is there something that we can get this individual to move, or do we have to go in other directions? But being able to, interact with people, take in all their concerns, defuse the situation, and be able to come up collaboratively and have some sort of a decision that can be made that helps the people that are having a hard time. I mean, I know right now when people come in to see me, sometimes they're apprehensive to come in and see me because they're not sure how the building inspector is going to react to their project, or they've just had a problem. Most recently, we had a house burned down in town. The family was put out. Of course, it's a tragic time for them. They want to know if they can build on their lot, and the zoning is saying that because of their lot it's non-conforming. What can we do? So you work through all the various avenues and things that you need to do, so ultimately they can move back into their own home. They just lost everything that they had. So being able to look at the situation and find out what good can come from this is really key.
What is your philosophy on working with other boards?
I welcome it. I really welcome it. The way I operate things right now, we have a permitting software in town, View Permit, which is, I understand you have GOTMS, which is what we had prior to. But there used to be what we call the pink sheet, which used to go around from department to department, and everybody would put down their comments and signatures on it.
Yep, I remember those.
And now that went away with the e-permitting and everything online. So what I do is I contact all the departments, the boards, the ZBA, the planning board, conservation, historical, all of them. I put out a mass email and say, listen, this is the project I have before me, this is what's going on. I need any feedback and everything that you have on this project. There's a reason why I should hold or a reason why I can move forward. Please give me any information you have. And I'll send out an email to everybody, and I usually allow them up to a week and a half to get back to me. So that way there I can put all the information together before a decision is made.
Thank you.
Sure.
Very good. Can you tell me a little bit about your organizational skills? It sounds like you have a few.
Yeah, I set the bar kind of high for myself, so I'm pretty much a stickler on making sure everything's organized. When it comes to permitting, as soon as the permit comes in and crosses my desk, I make sure that it's been taken in because the clock starts ticking.
Right.
And I'll send it over to the fire department for them to do their review. And I'll keep in constant communication with them to make sure that if they need extra time, I can allow them that extra time to get information to me so that something doesn't get sent out and then, we need to bring it back. So I make sure that all that's aside. The way we do our organization in Northborough right now, the way I have it set up, is everything is map and parcel and by project. So anything that's new coming in, and we have a system set up so that the working permits are here, and then we have our permits that have been set for record keeping. So I want to make sure that I have everything, again, lined up. Everything has its own file. Everything has its proper location.
Terrific.
Thank you.
Great. There's no such thing, obviously, in this country as indentured servitude, but we are also interested in somebody, who's, planning on being here for, 3, 4, 5 years, as a minimum. Simply because, particularly with a small town like this, without, a lot of administrative support, etc., it's a major event to bring somebody on.
Absolutely.
So is that consistent with what you're looking for to be
Yeah,
in a place for
I-
a while?
Yeah, I have, technically, I have 24 years to retirement. And I would like to settle into a community which I can retire from. And that's what I would like to do. And if the community grows while I'm there, all the better for it, because I get to grow with that community and get to be able to kind of have my little part of helping out in that community. So.
Any other questions from the board? Any questions from Peter?
If you had to describe a reputation that you've got in Northborough as your current role, how would you be described?
Not tooting my own horn, but I'd say I have an excellent reputation. I'm easy to work with. I'm not a pushover, but I'm laid back and I'm reasonable. I don't, the building code has a clause in it that you have to meet the intent of the code. Doesn't necessarily mean it's black and white. There is some gray in there. So to be able to find those avenues in which you can work with an individual, whether it be a contractor, a homeowner, business owner, to complete a project, it's worth looking at. There's no hard line to take.
And would you have to break an obligation that you might have with Northborough, contractually speaking, or you have no contract?
I'm sorry, I'm not following.
Would you have an obligation with the town of Northborough?
Yeah,
to
if
remain
anything-
there a certain period of time?
No, I can, I'm an employee at will, so I don't have any contract or anything like that. No.
Thank you.
Yep.
Anything else? All right. Thank you very much for coming.
No problem.
We'll
Thank you
be
for having me.
considering this post haste, given Larry's imminent retirement. So
Okay.
we're not going to sit on this decision very long. So
All right.
you'll hear.
Fantastic. Thank
Again,
you so much for seeing me.
thank you. Thanks.
Oh, good seeing you again. Thank you.
Thank
Thanks.
you.
Take care.
All right. Thank you. Okay, how to proceed. I was thinking now that we've had the interview that we might ask our advisory committee to come in for, half an hour or so next.
The ones that
Next week.
interviewed the candidates.
They've interviewed the candidate,
Right.
they chose them, so.
Yeah.
I think I'd like to have, a half an hour session with them about why they chose them and, their observations, because they've had, longer interviews and,
Yes.
more interaction with them than we do. And then, I think after that, we got to move very quickly to get somebody,
That sounds good to me.
okay?
Yep.
All right.
You have a 7:15 to 7:30, and are you not proceeding with the Broadmerkles now, right? Or are you? Yeah, you are at 7:45. So then you'd want to have.
What do we have, what do we have as appointments?
7:15 is the personnel hearings on the Corey policy and the CDL drug and alcohol policy.
Okay,
That's
that won't take too
7:15.
long, I don't think, but.
No, and then 7:30 is the Adventure Park update for Riverbridge.
Okay.
And then 7:45 is the earthwork matter.
Let's have them in at 8.
You want to have them at 8, okay.
I think that, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And let's stay on top of the Broad Merkle one, maybe after the discussion we had tonight.
It may not happen.
It may not have, but let's check with that, maybe we could give them a call during the week and say, really, do you, but at least we can do it at 8 and schedule that 8 to 8:30 if they, okay?
Yep.
All right. Then let's get to the agenda. Okay, we have a bill schedule for $64,514. This is the first payment application for the Antonelli construction on the town hall. We have the architect's certification as to the work and the summary of the work. I take a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any comments or questions?
No.
Any from the floor? Okay, hearing none, we'll take a vote. All those in favor of authorizing the payment?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Why don't we all sign that, because it's a big one. Okay. There you go. The next item is a request to transfer a sum of money from the library expenses.
Wages, actually, 2 expenses. It's wages, 2 expenses.
Yes, I thought I said 2 expenses. And then I was gonna say from wages, but did I misspeak?
No, maybe you didn't get there yet.
Okay, I was just reading it in the order that it's presented on the
Oh, yeah,
form, so.
no, the forms were good.
Anyway, they are requesting to take an amount of $700 from library wages and transfer to expenses. And this is going to be used for temporary staffing, so this is a service. That's why it's an expense rather than a wage. Provided by Bibliotemps/MLS agency because a staff member requires time off. So this is effectively getting contract work in, which moves it from expense to wage. Motion to approve.
So moved?
Second.
Any comments or questions?
Nope.
Okay, hearing none, we'll take a vote. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Sorry. Similarly, and this is under part of the mass revenue laws that allow, with the approval of the Board of Selectmen and the Finance Committee, movements from one line item within a departmental budget to another. This regards the police. The request is to move the amount of $10,000 into police part-time wages from police full-time wages. It's requested by the department head. And it says this year part-time officers have been used to cover more openings than in the past. Sergeant Geist retired, and the process to fill his position with an academy-trained officer took longer than expected. Prior to filling the vacancy created by the retirement, Officer Perry resigned from the department, creating additional shifts needing coverage. The process to fill the vacancy created by Officer Perry's resignation will be completed in August, as we are awaiting the graduation of 3 police academies to find an academy-trained officer. The transition to regional dispatch has also required part-time officers to attend additional training that is not normally required and to cover additional full-time vacancies, as full-time officers were reassigned to training to minimize overtime expenses. Okay, so I would accept a motion to transfer the amount of $10,000 from full-time wages to part-time wages within the police budget.
So moved.
Second.
Any further questions? Any questions? Okay, hearing none, we'll take a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Next, we have, for Old Home Day, permission for use of festivities account. You want to talk about this one?
Yep. Basically, my understanding is that that was initially allocated for mailings alone. We chose not to do a mailing as a committee because we wanted to put it towards things that actually were in the event. In this case, it's most likely going to be the tent and the stage.
Mhm, mhm.
And perhaps some of the things that Sharon had to get for prizes for the carnival games.
Okay. Let's see. This was funded just as a budget line item, and it was for festivities. I don't believe it, I mean, you're absolutely right that I
I'm
think
just-
the accurate way of describing it was that the motivation for it was mailing
Yes.
expenses. But I believe as long as it's spent for one of those festive events, it's fine. Anybody feel differently about that?
Is there another, are there any other groups that have access to that account right now?
It would just be Christmas time in Berlin, which is done for this year, so pretty much
Okay.
Yeah.
the funds that are in there are.
There's nothing else?
Yeah, okay.
Okay?
I'm
All-
assuming I should recuse myself since I'm on the,
No, you
No?
don't have a personal
Okay.
pecuniary interest, right?
Okay.
Unless you get a cut of the
No.
raffle or something like that.
No, yeah.
Or one of the raffles, right? Anyway, no, I mean, I think that the board can just, register that there's no problem with spending this in association with the, with Old Home Day. It's not limited to mailings,
Okay, excellent.
okay?
Okay.
That's the sense of the board? You can register the
Fine.
sense of the board. Okay. The next is.
Would you vote it just for the accountant's sake, so that she can feel comfortable having a vote?
The vote, we will vote that the board authorizes the expenditure of this for any reasonable expenses associated with Old Home Day, and not limited to mailing. How's that?
Yep.
Is that good?
Yep.
All right.
Second?
All right.
Okay.
Lawyers and accountants, we have different worldviews, there's no doubt about it. Anyway, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. There's your vote.
Thank you.
All right.
It's not for me, it's for her.
I know. Next, a permit is required for a tent and a stage for Old Home Day, and we have been requested to waive the building inspector's fees for this. Unlike, as you know, other inspectors, the building inspectors paid a salary and not a portion of the fees, so this doesn't affect the building inspector. If we were to charge a fee, we would just take it out of the festivities account and move it into the general fund. So, I think it's appropriate to waive this. And I would take a motion to that effect.
Motion to waive the inspection fees for a tent and a stage.
Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll take a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we have a bill payable for one of the Mabel Marble Scholarship Awards for Rebecca Davis. One of the conditions of that is that they submit a transcript from their first their first quarter, and she did very well at Oberlin College. So this is one of the nice motions to make. So a motion to issue the Mabel Marble Scholarship Award in the amount of $1,000 to Rebecca Davis.
So moved.
Second.
Any comments or questions? Okay, hearing none, we'll take a vote. All those in favor? Aye. All right. Okay. Next, we have cultural facilities fund capital grant agreement. This is the sort of typical, agreement that we've done before with respect to these. I think we should have the motion to authorize me to execute the Cultural Facilities Fund Capital Grant Agreement
So moved.
as presented. Okay? As again, these are standard grant forms. We've signed these with respect to other activities.
Right.
Any comments or questions?
Nope.
All right, hearing none, we'll take a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
And what is it, 245 is what we're getting for this?
Off the top of my head, that sounds
Yeah, I think
right.
that's right. So thank you to the Commonwealth and our representatives in the state legislature were very extraordinarily helpful in getting that through. It was one of the two, I believe it was one of the two top awards in that program in that year. So thank you. For some reason, whenever tonight when I'm doing the dates, I wanted to write 71 instead of 17. I feel like I've been in the Wayback Machine or something. Anyway. All right.
Couldn't write then. I couldn't write then.
I could, but. Yep. Yeah. Yeah. I've been writing all too long by then, actually. All right. The next is, oh, yes. This is a motion to approve a change order for the Old Town Hall in the amount of $2,351.24. This is with respect to the relocation. This is the relocation of electrical stuff for the stage. Is that correct? Not for the, yes.
Three-phase, no.
Not for the three-phase.
No, right.
Yeah, that's also pending. All right. So it's, again, $2,351.
Okay. Motion to approve the change order for $23.51
Second.
Okay. Any comments or questions?
No?
Hearing none, we'll take a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We just have to register that vote. We don't have to sign anything, Mary?
Right.
Oh, wait. Or do we? There is,
Is there a form?
yeah, there is a change order.
Oh, well,
And it has, yeah, I suspect we have to sign this.
Okay,
Um,
this would be my
Yeah.
first time, so.
Yep.
She must have run out of stickies.
I can get some. They're right over there.
I know.
Okay. All right. And then a motion to approve a change order for the amount of $7,363.35 for pouring the concrete slab for the historical curatorial building.
So moved.
Can I just ask what they decided to do in this?
Yes, absolutely. We had a meeting last Wednesday, and as you know, the original plan was indeed to do it this, during this construction because, and when they were pouring other so we didn't have to go through the expense of bringing people in again. However, Assabet Votech is going to do the construction, and they were not going to be able to do that until next spring. However, we had a very good discussion with the representative of Assabet last Wednesday, and they agreed that they could put in the first floor hip wall and a covering and tarp it over, and the architect, the contractor, all felt that that was, you know, perfectly adequate to address the concerns that we'd had about pouring the slab and then, you know, leaving it, you know, exposed during the winter period. The Assabet felt that they could come in and do that in a week, and they're engaged in a Habitat for Humanity arrangement, but there is some point in that in which they're bringing in sort of other contractors and other contributors toward it. So he felt that it would be, you know, quite doable to schedule a week in September, October, before, you know, the weather turned to do that. So.
Okay. So what's the specific change order for?
The change order is for the concrete slab itself.
Was that in
Why
the
are we
budget
pouring that
previously?
It was in the budget, then it was taken out of the budget
Ah,
because.
got it.
So they have to put it back
So now
in
we
the
have to put it
budget.
back in.
Got it.
Got it.
Yeah, sorry, I should have.
Yeah.
Yes. It was in,
That's why I'm like,
it was out, and now it's back in.
Are you
Right.
too?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay?
So, Tom, if it was gonna happen in the winter, did I get that right?
Mhm.
And now it's gonna happen now?
They're going to pour the cement slab by now, within the, you know, the next 3 or 4 weeks, for the curatorial building. They did not want to leave that slab exposed over the winter, and Assabet couldn't come and do, you know, the final construction, etc., until the spring. What Assabet has said is now they are able to come in, do enough of the construction that this can be closed up and, you know, and weatherproofed, and that will be done before the weather turns and this.
So is it next year's budget that you're moving to now?
No,
Since it was
no.
planned-
This is a line item.
But it was gonna be done in the
No,
next year.
this is a line item, so this is not part of the annual budget. These monies were appropriated as a line item, and if it takes us 5 years to, you know, expend it 2 years, it all comes out of that line item budget. This was pouring this slab was in the original work order. About 3 or 4 weeks ago, when they thought that they couldn't close it up or weatherproof it, they did a change order to take the slab out of it and then do it, you know, at another time in the spring or as another project. So that it was taken out. And now that we've had the conversation with Assabet and they're willing to do it, we're basically going back to where we were at the beginning, undoing the change order that took it out and putting it back in. If you can follow all that. Anyway, yeah, that's where it is. So in all of that explanation, did we actually take a vote?
No, we need to.
All right.
No.
So, yeah. So all those in favor of approving this change order, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Next is an update on the neighbors. I got an email address from them just yesterday from the chief when I was talking to the fire chief, and I'm suggesting Wednesday or Friday of next week to have that meeting, and I haven't heard back from them.
Okay.
I can be more flexible than that. I wanted ideally, I wanted to have the architect there, but that's not an absolute. I just want one other representative of the town there when we talk about it, because this is a relatively minor thing. I mean, the building is back in the property, and it's going to be advisable to take down a tree that's sort of right on the property line. But you know, I will let you know. I sent the email last night, and I hadn't heard back as of the time I left the office.
Okay.
Okay?
I'll just take this off the agenda.
Yeah, you could take that off the agenda, and if because I don't think it'll be,
Not next week, anyhow. Okay.
it might be as early as this Friday, and I'll let you know if there's a development. But it's basically Wednesdays and Fridays that are available, so I wanted to put those out there first, because the architect could be there for those. Okay? Yeah, and
You're good on that?
this other note, which is the 5/31, 2017 meeting minutes, memorialized what I took way too many words to describe. Its final decision is to have Antonelli construct the foundation as per contract, and to have Assabet mobilize in October or November to frame the knee walls and the floor deck so the structure is secure and protected from the weather. Okay? They said it much more elegantly than I did.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very nice.
All right. Okay. All right, and we confirm we have the builder's risk insurance in place on that property. We talked about that and taken the appropriate votes last week, so there's no action required on that. We have talked about, that gets us to the Selectmen Personnel Committee, Fire Inspector campaign. We did that before the interviews.
Before we move on, are you planning to make the town hall meeting tomorrow?
Yes,
Will
I
you be
should
able
be,
to?
yes, I.
Okay. Because tomorrow is also the Devon's meeting, is it not, Mary?
Yeah.
Yeah, hang on.
I don't know. I'm not sure if we actually had an agenda come out on that. So while I posted a shell, I don't think I ever saw one, but I have sketchy email problems, so I'm not sure.
I haven't seen anything, but of course.
You know, I have
think-
sketchy email problems. I get these sketchy emails from Mary Arata all the
All
time.
day and night. Huh. I
Yeah.
don't think I saw an agenda, so I'm not sure. Let me log on right now and just
Maybe
see.
he thought that was the agenda, the
But that was
shell.
just a suggestion that I gave to everybody, like, you might wanna use this, but then he said, no, he would have an agenda, so I don't know.
Ugh,
Let me, shoot him an email. If I get an answer, I will text you.
okay,
Okay.
Yep, hang on, I'm just looking, I'm just. trying
because
to-
usually those meetings are on, aren't they usually on a well, maybe they are on Wednesdays.
I thought it was the first Wednesday of the month, so this is
Okay.
the normal, actually.
Last time it was
Last one was a
Thursday.
special budget vote, yeah.
Right,
Well, we actually have a meeting tomorrow.
Yes, at 12:30
12:30
Yes.
meeting tomorrow too.
with the Energy Committee.
but we'd be
Right.
back, it's a 9:30 meeting, I'd be back if there was one.
Yeah, thanks for the reminder on that. Yep, I'm good
Okay.
for,
And did you all go today to the inspectors meeting and the
I went to the department heads meeting.
department head meeting?
no, I was in Boston today.
Okay,
Yeah.
just wondered if there was,
No, I'll be in, and I won't be able to attend Larry's thing because I'll be in Boston on Thursday, but I will be around Wednesday and can do the
okay,
10 and the 12:30, so.
all right, good.
Okay?
All right,
The department heads meeting was just an overview of Google, which I probably didn't need, but.
All right. Okay. All right, next, the,
Oh, yeah,
water runoff complaints, right?
right.
Okay.
So Keith and I took a ride
Mhm.
to 117 West Street and 64 Peach Hill Road. The recommendation that Keith is recommending for West Street is that the owner hopefully needs to redo his driveway to meet the road. And so he feels it's not an issue that the town needs to take care of.
Did you see it?
Yes.
Explain that to me. I mean, didn't, what, is it a new driveway?
No, he needs to do a driveway, or redo the driveway. It's West Street, it's like
Yeah.
right near where the town barn is,
Yeah,
across the street.
yeah.
And the road is here, and then the property goes down like that. I guess at some point, either Denny or he suggested a, what is it called?
A berm. Mhm.
And he didn't want a berm.
Yes, that would be the obvious. Did this situation occur when West Street was repaved?
No.
No?
It's been a while since it's been repaved, right? West Street?
A few years ago. I
Yeah.
mean, it's within the last 10 years anyway. I don't keep track of these things, but I know that of course was repaved sometime, maybe even in the last 5 years. So I guess what I'm asking is this the result of the, a change in the elevation of the road because it was repaved?
I don't think so,
Okay,
no.
okay. So this is something that's been there forever? I mean,
I
for a
think there
long
was some
time,
something that Denny may have done for this homeowner at some point, but,
That caused it?
no,
Or-
no, no.
Oh,
To help it not, he's saying it's the runoff from the road.
right,
However, there's not a lot you can do when the land goes down from the road. You need to grade your driveway correctly, perhaps put some stone at the top.
okay. And the town has offered to put a berm if they wish.
That was one thing that I believe Keith said he offered, and
Okay.
he said no, because he didn't want to bottom out his car, I'm not sure.
Okay,
I did not have the opportunity to talk to the homeowner.
okay.
But
No,
we
that's fine.
did go by the two places.
Mhm. And then 64 Peach Hill Road was?
64 Peach Hill Road was, Keith has already put in a drainage ditch on the property next to that, so that if there is runoff from the road, it goes into the drainage ditch.
Yeah,
And from the driveway of the owners, the property actually goes up and then back down again. It's similar to the other one, but this one has a little bit of a hill to the driveway, so the water can't get up past that little hill and go down into the property.
so I mean, you were satisfied that the town hasn't caused this? Or-
Right.
Okay. You were
And
satisfied
the
with
one
that?
thing that Keith was wondering is perhaps it's seepage from underground. The house, I believe, did have a new septic in the back, which is a big hill. And, it could just be some different kind of drainage since they put in
But
the
he
septic.
didn't feel that the road was contributing to Peach Hill
If
situation?
the road was getting in a lot of water, it would go into this drainage ditch that he put in the property beside this homeowner's. And I did take a look at the drainage ditch, it's quite big, I mean, it runs all along the side of the property.
And it leads where?
For quite a ways.
Away from the house?
No,
I guess,
it's running perpendicular from the street, so it would go into this drainage ditch and then continue. Sort of on the property line.
Okay, and did Keith, is there an explanation for this? We had another flood in the house? I mean, when you went there, did it look like there was anything that could cause that?
I couldn't see anything that, using common sense, I could not see a reason why how the water would get to, into I think it was the garage, correct?
It just says we had another flood in the house.
Well, I think they had some plastic along the front of the garage door. So that made me think that was where the water was coming in.
Yeah, as I say,
Yeah,
that's all it says. It also
I don't know
says
how
we're being put in the end of 6 manholes from the
I
street.
do not know what that means. I
Did you
didn't-
see manholes?
No, I saw. Unless they're talking about, would manholes be in the road itself?
Drainage ditches?
I don't know, I wasn't up, I mean,
No.
I'm just reading what it says here, and I wasn't up there to look at it, but you didn't see any manholes?
No, and I didn't think to ask Keith about it when we were there. I read that again when I got home, and I thought, you know, I'm not quite sure what he was talking about.
Is this a complaint? Are they seeking some relief?
Yes.
What relief are they seeking?
They're determined to address the manhole issue because it's dumping thousands of gallons of water in our direction. So they're
Unless he means the
suggesting.
drainage
Drainage
ditch.
ditch?
He may mean the drainage ditch then. I don't know what,
I thought you said that wasn't actually on his property, that it was on the property next door.
it is on the property next door.
Does he think
I
it's
have to say, I'm
friendly,
now
or-
totally confused.
Yeah. I think we need
Well, Keith's recommendation for both of these properties was that it wasn't anything that the town should have to take care of. I think that's what he did mean by manholes, is the ditch that runs.
It's an odd usage for a ditch.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not prepared to vote on it on the basis of what I've heard tonight. I just don't understand the situation, and it's so inconsistent.
Was there something that you,
Well, it's so
would like
inconsistent.
me to
What
do?
what you're talking about seems to be, you know, so disjunctive with what the complaint is that I'm.
So do we need to hear from the homeowner or from Keith, or?
Well, maybe if you don't mind, maybe I can go up with Keith, because before I'd vote, I'd have to, I mean, what you're describing is so much at odds with what the complaint is that, you know, I don't feel confident.
what's the question? What is the question?
Well, I mean, what you described
Yeah,
so little matches with what they're complaining about. They're talking about manholes, you know.
I think
they're-
that must be the
They're
ditch
talking
that
about.
they're talking
Yeah,
about.
but, you know, I need to, you know, I
Okay.
would need to go and see that because I don't feel like I know what I'm
Okay.
voting on at this point, you know?
Do you wanna give me a yell when you go?
Sure.
Okay.
What's that?
I just asked if he wants to give me a yell when he goes, I'm just kind of
Okay.
curious
Yeah.
to see what this looks
Oh,
like.
is Keith around tomorrow? Maybe we could pop up after the
after that thing.
12:30.
Do you want me to check if I can?
Maybe that-
Yeah, I
I don't know
think
if he's gonna be
I have
answering
to be
text
back
yet,
at the house by around 2 or 2:30. But that we ought to have enough time to do the rates. I mean, that should only take 10 minutes or so, and then yeah. So see if he's around. Maybe we could pop up because I've just normally there's some correspondence between what somebody's writing about and what is observed, and it just, I'm not seeing it, so, yeah.
Just telling you what I observed.
No, that's right, but
Fine.
that's
I
exactly.
can't completely, it's
But it seems, it seems odd, anyway.
Okay.
So we'll do that, and we'll put that on the agenda for next week, all right?
Next week. There is gonna be a Devon's meeting tomorrow. It's informational only. There's no votes taken, hence no need for an agenda, he says. So
Okay.
there will be a meeting tomorrow.
All right.
Okay?
You gonna go? I'm going.
I can go.
Yeah.
Have it on the calendar. Do you want me to go?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Your primary.
Yeah.
That's gonna be the E911 head for the state.
Okay.
It's gonna be there.
Okay. Next is the Dropbox. I note that Sue Regera said that this was approved by the treasurer. Do you know about that? Or, I mean, I'm just take her at her word, because one of the things I was gonna ask is, he's the sort of arbiter of, collection of
Right, what
monies
it's
and so
for
on.
is we've moved the stickers to the transfer station.
Mhm.
So what we need was a place to deposit the money every day
Yep,
that we take in.
yep,
And originally, we were gonna do it in the office, but that was a little complicated, because if I'm out, then Steven's my assistant, and he would've had to have a key, so we didn't want that.
okay.
So Sue came up with the Dropbox, and that was the best solution.
And the treasurer has, she talked to the
We've
treasurer
talked to
about
Dennis,
it.
and Dennis
Yeah, okay.
was happy
The only
with
reason I
that.
asked that is he's the legally responsible town officer, you know, for collection matters and
What
so
it'll
on.
be
He's good
is,
with that.
Sue or Donna on Fridays will pick it up out of the box, do the deposit to take it to Dennis.
Oh, yeah, no, that's, okay.
While
Okay.
you're answering questions, somebody in Berlin Neighbors Connect was having trouble, once again, with the process of getting a transfer station sticker. Could you just go over briefly?
Right now, we're not even selling stickers. Anybody that moves in new
Okay,
this late, I mean, we only got a couple weeks.
okay.
We don't even require them to get a sticker.
Okay, so they could just bring their trash in and
Certainly.
it's all good?
They can come in
Okay,
and
then I'll
see
put
me
something
and-
up on her post,
If
letting
you
her
And
know
when,
that
when
she
do
was-
the new ones go on sale, the
Okay.
15th? There's
The first.
the first
Yes,
of,
July.
Of July?
oh, okay, so you
Okay.
don't
We
sell
can't
any
sell
of
any
them.
before the 1st of July, because the
Because-
town doesn't have a process to deposit money for
The next
year's
year.
budget.
Gotcha,
Okay,
gotcha.
awesome, thank you.
Okay. Thank you. All right, we'll take a vote authorizing the placement of, I think we're doing this as the sort of custodian of the building here, right? Authorize the placement of a deposit drop box in a place to be determined by the Board of Health and the treasurer within the building.
So moved.
Second?
Okay. Any further comments or questions? All right, hearing none, we'll take a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. And the next is participation in the community calendar. We usually do that. It's $30 annually. It's, I believe the art, who does it?
Art and historical.
Art and Historical now,
I think.
yep. Or is it?
It was Wendy Rogolinski.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
who is that? Is that not Art and, I'm not sure.
It might be FPC, I don't know.
It's hanging in the room.
Not
But
sure.
in any event, it's $30. It goes to a charitable
I mean, I cannot put it in
Right.
front of you anymore. It is fairly nominal. I should-
activity, and basically, you know, people buy these, and it contains birthdays, board meetings, etc. And this $30 will list the Board of Selectmen's meetings, at least as originally scheduled at the beginning of the year. That's all. So, move to approve the expenditure of $30 from Selectmen's expenses for our customary listing of the Board of Selectmen's meetings on the community calendar.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
Well, you know, while we're talking about that, we have voted the calendar as
Yes.
far as our meetings,
Yep,
correct?
And I have not posted it yet.
Yeah, and I just wondered, is that a practice that you just post all the meetings? And then you can change?
Eloise does have, for all the boards and committees are asked, FinCom would have done this too, all
Right.
your anticipated meeting dates for the coming year.
Yep,
I don't know that other towns do that, but it's not a bad idea. It just kind of gives the public a heads up that you routinely, and it gives people a good idea about your summer schedule if it's the
Yeah.
best of your knowledge in advance.
Yep.
and I know the school did it.
Did they?
The
Oh, yeah, they
school-
do. They
the
do
Yeah.
send out an
Yeah,
anticipated
they
calendar.
just send,
Yeah.
or post that page with
Right.
everybody's, all the meeting dates.
Not sure
Yes.
if it's this week or it was last week's miscellaneous correspondence, but yeah, it's in there.
Yeah, so I just wondered if we should do that too.
We do.
We do.
Okay, good.
That yellow sheet that's hanging on the wall back there
Okay,
is the
Is
current
also-
year.
but we
out
just
there.
haven't, well,
I haven't put it into that typable PDF form. The typable PDF form only
Okay.
came out from the clerk's office. It lags a couple of weeks, so I'm gonna get in, type in all those dates that
Okay.
and then post it in the hallway and post it up online.
Yes.
You saw 16, but not 17 online. So I'll get 17
Right.
online and 18, which
Yep,
you've already approved.
That would be good.
okay, good.
Okay. And then we need to have a vote to permit Tim Wysocki on behalf of the Energy Committee and Town of Berlin to have access to the Mass Energy Insight webpage for purpose of access, monitoring, and/or maintaining the town's energy records.
Okay, I do recuse from this.
All right, that's fine.
I can actually whip this up for tomorrow, since there is a joint energy and selectmen's meeting, and then get all the forms that you need for that, if you want, or you could vote it now.
Oh, you can vote it now.
You can sign it tomorrow as the
Right.
chairman.
Yeah.
Either way.
Okay.
Okay. Motion
So,
to approve?
yeah, seeing as we have a motion on the floor, we might as well dispose of it.
Right.
You're making it?
Yeah, I made
I'm
that
seconding
motion.
it. Let the record show that Lisa is recused. All those in favor?
Aye.
And lastly, we have a proclamation. And if you bear with me, I'll read it so that people can hear it. This is a proclamation celebrating the retirement of Larry Brandt. And it's whereas Lawrence M. Brandt has with great skill, dedication, and professionalism served as the building inspector for the Berlin Inspectional Services Department for the past 20 years and as an assistant building inspector for a year before that. Whereas Lawrence is a Berlin native from a large family who's given much to the town of Berlin, including his late brother Richard Carl Brandt, 20 years old, private, U.S. Marine Corps Reserve, who gave his life in service to his country in Quang Tri, South Vietnam. Whereas Lawrence has served the residents of Berlin as zoning officer, enforcement officer through difficult trials and tribulations. Whereas Lawrence has guided the town of Berlin through the safe development of several large-scale developments, including the final stages of the Solomon Pond Mall development, the Highland Commons, the new Berlin Memorial School, the town office public safety building, Meadowbrook Village, Sawyer Hill Co-housing, the Dudley Road housing project, and the beginning of the River Bridge project. Whereas Lawrence remains a true friend to the town of Berlin, whose thoughtfulness and professionalism will be missed by co-workers and citizens alike upon his retirement as building inspector. Now therefore we, Thomas Andrew, Christine Keefe, and Lisa Wysocki, the Board of Selectmen of the town of Berlin, proclaim June 30th, 2017, Larry's last scheduled day on the job, as Lawrence Brandt Day. All right, so a motion to issue that proclamation.
So moved.
All right,
Second.
any comments or questions? All right, hearing none, we'll take a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Be careful, this one,
It's a little wet.
yes, it. While we're doing that, is there anything else to come before the board? Anything from the board?
I just want to make sure everybody knows that Berlin Home Day is on Saturday from 9 to 3 down on South Common by the Berlin Memorial School, so please attend.
I like what Tom's calling it, Old Home Day.
Yes, well, we tried to adjust that. We were a little too late to find out what that was actually
year.
called.
I think that's because I'm old.
Now, that's what we're all used to.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. I think you have to be of a certain age to call it that, yes.
Okay.
Anyway. Nothing else? All right.
Motion to adjourn?
You want to second that one?
Second.
All right. All in favor? Aye.